Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Chapter 1 Read Aloud. I am Mrs. Wallace, your friendly librarian in both the 500 building and middle school. I am here today to read you Chapter 1 of a historical fiction book. So, earlier in the week, I read some realistic fiction. Yesterday, I read some fantasy. So, today, I thought I'd tackle historical fiction because there are a lot of historical fiction fans out there. Okay, this particular book is not one that we have in the library. It is called Eyes of the Emperor. We can get it for the library. All you have to do is send me an email to let me know whether or not we should get it for the library. My email is going to be posted below there for you. This is, however, part of a popular series called Prisoner of the Empire. And we have one of the books called House of the Red Fish, and they're all historical fiction books at different points in history. This particular one, Eyes of the Emperor, is during World War II. Let me read you a little bit about the book itself, and then I will read chapter 1 aloud. Eddie Akobu lies about his age and joins the army in his hometown of Honolulu only weeks before the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. Suddenly, Americans see him as the enemy. Even the U.S. Army doubts the loyalty of Japanese American soldiers. Then the Army sends Eddie and a small band of Japanese American soldiers on a secret mission to a small island off the coast of Mississippi. Here, they are given a special job, one that only they can do. Eddie's going to help train attack dogs. He's going to be the bait. All right. So again, this is a historical fiction book. A lot of you are fans of World War II history, and most of you are fans of World War II history in terms of the Holocaust. Well, this is World War II on the other side, which was part of Hawaii, which is part of the U.S., and the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, which is in Hawaii. So there's a whole another half of the war happening on the other side of the United States. So I'm going to read you the first chapter of this particular book. Again, if you like it, the author's website is going to be below, as well as my email address if you think we should get it for the library. So, Eyes of the Emperor, Chapter 1. Honolulu, August 1941. The Spirit of Japan. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't afraid. Bad, bad times, Pop mumbled just yesterday, scowling to himself in the boatyard while reading the Japanese newspaper. Hawaii Hochi. He mashed his lips together, tossed the paper into the trash. I pulled it out when he wasn't looking. Some Howley businessmen were saying all Japanese in Hawaii should be confined to the island of Molokai. Those white guys thought there were too many of us now. We were becoming too powerful. The tension outside Japanese camp in Honolulu was tight. You could almost hear it snapping in the air. And to make things worse, Japan, Pop's homeland, was stirring up big trouble. In 1931, when I was 6, the Japanese invaded Manchuria, and they have been pushing deeper into China ever since. Less than a year ago, they'd signed up with Germany and Italy to form the Axis, all of them looking for more land, more power. Then, just last month, Japan flooded into Cambodia and Thailand, and my homeland, the USA, was getting angry. President Roosevelt was negotiating with Japan to stop its invasions and get out of China, but nothing seemed to be working. And for every American of Japanese ancestry, Pop was right. These were bad, bad times. That summer, I just turned 16. Me and my younger brother, Herbie, who was 13, helped Pop build boats in his boatyard, a business he'd since had since he and Ma came to Hawaii from Hiroshima in 1921. Pop had been making sampan-style fishing boats all his life. He had a skilled apprentice, fresh off the boat from Japan, by 2 years. With all of us helping out, Pop's business managed to survive. We were finishing up a new 40-footer on a Howley from Japan, the first boat Pop had ever made for a white guy. Then there would be more because Pop's reputation had grown beyond Japanese camp. Without question, there was no better boat builder in the islands than my Pop. We've been working on this one for more than 7 months now, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. I was painting the hull bright white over primed wood soaked in boiled linseed oil. I had to strain the paint through fine netting so it would go on like silk, leaving no room for the smallest mistake. Pop lived in the Japanese way, which meant everything had to be perfect. The paint fumes were getting to me, so I climbed down off the ladder to go back for some fresh air. A small, flea infested mutt got up and followed me into the sun. I found him a couple of months ago licking oil off an old engine part in the boatyard, and I'd given him some of my lunch. Now that ratty dog stuck to me like glue. I called him Sharky because he growled and showed teeth to everyone but me. Pop didn't like him, but he let him live at the shop because he'd chase away nighttime prowlers. Pop's shop was right on the water, and just as I walked outside, a Japanese destroyer was heading out of Honolulu Harbor, passing by so close I could hit it with a slingshot. A long line of motionless and orderly guys in white uniforms stood on deck, gazing back at the island. I squinted, studying them as Sharky settled by my feet. Pop suddenly ghosted up next to me, wiping his hands on a paint rag. I could see him in the corner of my eye. He was 48 years old and starting to get a bouncy stomach, a couple inches shorter than me, about 5'3". His undershirt was white and clean, tucked into khaki pants that hung on him like drying laundry, bunched at his waist with a piece of rope. He had short gray hair that prickled up on his tan head. As usual, he was scowling. Sharky got up and moved away. Pop pointed his chin toward the destroyer. That's something, he said in Japanese. Look at all those fine young men. They looked proud, all right. To them, Pop went on, unusually talkative, the Emperor is like a god. They would be grateful to die for him. Grateful to die? Pop's eyes brightened. The spirit of Satsuma, he said. That's what lives in those boys, the unbeatable fighting spirit. He nodded in admiration, then continued on over to the lumber pile to look for something. What Pop said gave me the willies because he wanted me and Herbie to be just like those Navy guys, all full up with the national spirit of Japan. Pop kept a cigar box of cash savings hidden somewhere in the house, money to send us back to Tokyo or Hiroshima to learn about our heritage. You are Japanese, he would say. How can you learn about your culture and tradition if you don't go to Japan? Sure, but what if I got there and war came because the US and Japan couldn't work things out? What if I got trapped and dragged into the Japanese army or navy, like those guys on that ship? What would I do then? Because I sure didn't feel that kind of spirit. I wasn't a Japan Japanese. I was an American. Pop's newspaper had said that people around Honolulu were worried that they had a Japanese problem on their hands. Us. What would Japanese Americans do if Japan and the US went to war? Where would our loyalties lie? It was ridiculous because there was nothing to worry about. Mm. So a little bit of a drama for you. Those of you who like books about soldiers, about that type of war novel or historical fiction, you will definitely like this. So if you'd like to read the book, you can of course request it for the library for when we return, or you can go to the Chester County Library's webpage. I'll put a link for that down below as well. There's an e-copy of it. I just read it off my phone, so you don't have to have an e-reader to read e-copies of books. And of course, I will see you tomorrow for episode 5 of Chapter 1 Read Aloud. Bye.